All right, guys. Thanksgiving time. It's Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving special. Thanksgiving special. We are here for the CABAL Thanksgiving special. Let's get those let's get that stuff out there. Hey, is this retweeted on Twitter? Gotta check. I'm just gonna retweet anyway. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. You know, the funny thing about Thanksgiving, it's like it's a day that you're supposed to take off, you're supposed to relax, but there is no day in the year that in the morning you are not like there are never more people in the gym than Thanksgiving morning. I just went by my gym, my new gym. Started going here a couple weeks back. You guys remember Attilis, guys? You guys remember Attilis Gym in Belmar, New Jersey? Do you remember these guys? This is back in May, easily. They refused to shut down their gym, refused to shut down their gym despite the orders. And they kept it open. Owners got arrested, I think, twice. When they got out of jail, they went back and reopened the gym. The state chained up their building, locked their doors. They came in with bolt cutters and broke into their gym. And they went back and started lifting again. I gotta tell you, this place, it's awesome. It's like I've been going there. If I'm on New York, I basically go there every day. The energy is so great. It's like an old school 70s bodybuilding gym. They've got all sorts of hats and stuff there, make politicians afraid again. Um, very defiant, very defiant energy. I'm a big fan of it. And what's crazy is that they're free because there's no mask regulations there. You have to go, you have to get your temperature checked. But I think that there's some legal thing here that they are not charging people memberships because it somehow skirts state regulations about it being a gym. So, I got to get some merch to support them. But anyway, guys, we got the Thanksgiving special here. We're not going to go terrible odds. You see, you cut off my train of thought there, Salmon. Guys, I'm putting some more money in. I'm putting some more money in. I mean, unfortunately, I missed the 27. I missed it by I missed the 34-27. I missed it just by a little bit. But getting some money in now. Look, it's all good money. It's all winning. It's all winning money right now. That's all it is. So, we're not going to go terribly long today. Definitely out of here by 2 p.m. Hard stop 2 p.m. But we got some big stuff happening. You guys feeling the energy, right? But first, we're doing a special wine, Thanksgiving wine thing tonight, right? Special wine thing tonight, today, whatever, afternoon. I want to show you guys the two big wines that you should be having during Thanksgiving, along with a couple others. All right. Riesling and Beaujolais Nouveau. Viognier is another good one. Viognier, Gewürztraminer. I would say that those four are the best. Viognier, Gewürztraminer, Riesling, Beaujolais Nouveau. You put 4 million in. Oh my god! If you were putting 4 million in, then you wouldn't be watching my Periscope. Pinot Noir, big stuff here. Okay, so Riesling. This is not a typical place to get Riesling. This is actually an Italian Riesling. And I have to tell you guys, I forgot to put it in the fridge, so it's not the perfect representation here. But I know it's off dry, which is what you want. You want an off dry Riesling. You could even, frankly, push it to a sweet Riesling if you wanted to. And you have here the Beaujolais Nouveau. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you real briefly about these two wines. I'm not going to go into the history of Riesling or anything. But I'm going to tell you why Riesling is, in general, good for Thanksgiving food. And of course, I'm talking about traditional American Thanksgiving food, turkey, stuffing, potatoes, sweet potatoes. The Riesling, aside from simply the aromatics of Riesling Viognier, this is the food is rich, okay? Thanksgiving food is rich. And that little bit of sugar from the Riesling, it cuts it. Okay, it cuts it. Gewürztraminer, even though that's dry, the aromatics of Gewürztraminer also cut it, and it balances it very well. Okay, that's a general rule when you have that kind of really. You guys know this, right? If you go to a French restaurant in particular, because they're really known for this, they make really the food can be very rich, and you can be just completely tapped out of having that food, but you can feel okay with having dessert, right? Or if you go to a nice restaurant, they give you things called like an amuse-bouche or usually a sorbet of some sort in the middle, like an intermezzo in the middle of the meal, because it cleanses your palate, and it's usually a little sweet, a little sour. Riesling, Viognier, it's perfect like that. They have that little bit of acidity, but they also have a little bit of sugar, and so it goes very well with the food. Now, Beaujolais Nouveau is a little bit interesting. So Beaujolais Nouveau comes from the Beaujolais region. People associate Beaujolais with Beaujolais Nouveau, and they're separate things, guys. They're separate things. Beaujolais is just simply a wine. Beaujolais Nouveau is literally wine straight off the presses. Okay, so if you want to get a taste of what ancient people drank when just simply in the fall, right after harvest time, that's Beaujolais Nouveau. Okay, and that's why it was the best thing there. That's why they had all these festivals of the wine that would last in like the 2-3 months after the vintage, because the wine was fresh then. They literally vinify it, and then it gets put in a bottle. So sometimes you get a little bit of effervescence with the Beaujolais Nouveau, but it smells. It's so bright and so fruity. It almost smells like banana, because very often it goes through this thing called carbonic maceration, which, without getting into too much of the detail, you have the regular fermentation, but there's also a separate anaerobic fermentation that occurs when you don't press the grapes. And so carbonic maceration is like there's a vinification, a separate vinification that occurs within a non-crushed grape. So if you just throw the grapes in and you vinify them, you get this carbonic maceration thing, and it creates phenolics that are a lot like bubblegum or banana. So Beaujolais Nouveau has that all time. Now here's the thing with Beaujolais Nouveau. You're supposed to drink it because this is a young wine, has no ageability whatsoever. The Beaujolais Nouveau is traditionally released around Thanksgiving, and it traditionally needs to be drank by Easter. So it's like a 6-month wine, 5-month wine, and it used to be very popular in Britain. There used to be big marketing campaigns, kind of fallen off the radar a bit, which is a shame. It's kind of a fun tradition. So we will usually drink it at Thanksgiving and Easter only, pretty much. So guys, let's try it real quick. The Riesling. It's quite nice. Again, this is a Riesling from Venice, not a traditional region for Riesling. It's an IGT, which means there's no official denomination around it. But Riesling's great, and Venice has some pretty highlands. My guess is that Happy Thanksgiving, Adam. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys. My guess is that it's probably made in a higher elevation north of Venice, not in the lowlands. Excellent, even when it's not chilled. And then we got the Beaujolais Nouveau, our good friend Beaujolais. Guys, I can't even emphasize how strong the fruit smell is. It's literally like people should like Beaujolais Nouveau. If you're new to wine, you just like fruitiness, you'll love Beaujolais Nouveau. Beaujolais Nouveau tastes like the wine I made in the basement. I used to make wine in my basement, so that's what it tastes like. Salmon, I didn't add a ton. I think I'm up to 135 now, total 135K. The reality is that, guys, I would put more in, but first off, I got very limited liquidity because I have to, there's still bills to pay for the apartment, etc. A lot of my stuff is on credit. Okay, a lot of my wages are on credit. And guys, I'm an American, so I don't have access to European markets. So I have to go through friends. Okay, I have to go through friends, and there's all sorts of issues with transferring money, especially via credit. So that's why it's a little bit harder. I do have stakes in international markets, but it's harder. It's harder for me to get in those things. And, I'm happy to put a little bit more in, but, realistically speaking, I got a lot in. I got a pretty good payout coming for myself. So I'm not super stressed about, at this point, it's more about I don't want to put myself in a position where I have to start to really liquidate investments to cover credit fees and stuff like that. It's too stressful. So guys, what happened yesterday, right? What happened yesterday? We had some great stuff happen yesterday, but we knew this was coming. You guys, because you've been following along, you guys know what's happening. You've known for a while. Remember everybody freaking out about the General Services Administration? Everybody crying about that. It's time to concede. Will Chamberlain, Cernovich, it's time to give up. We've lost this. Hey, but guys, apparently yesterday the revolution started. Yesterday it was the resistance. Prior to yesterday, there was no resistance. Right? What? What? These clowns, man. These clowns, these grifters. Total losers. Total losers. No fight. Bandwagoners. Gonna act like leaders when they were bandwagoners. Will Chamberlain in particular. I mean, can you imagine the bad timing of saying the day of the PA legislature and the day of Sidney Powell dropping her lawsuit? He's given up. Yeah, can you believe that stuff? And also the acknowledgement. These people are such fucking bitches. The acknowledgement, yeah, it wasn't a clean or fair election, but we lost. No, sorry. Sorry. I don't accept a loss when someone steals it from me. Yeah, they stole it, but we just, we lost. How about fuck yourself? How about no? How about we're gonna win? Guys, they're done. Okay, they're done. They're done. This was a little Thanksgiving special. I don't know if you guys saw the lawsuit from Georgia. I had a chance to read out a lot of this stuff. I had a chance to read a good amount of it, not the entire thing. A lot of it's stuff we already know about Dominion, but a couple highlights here. So two to three things in the Georgia stuff that really stood out. Okay. First, the watermarks appear to be real. All right. So I was seeing that there's a Chinese company that prints out ballots. There's a recording of this Chinese guy ordering ballots from a Chinese company. They print them out. And there is, within the Georgia lawsuit, there are affidavits saying that basically there was a set of ballots. There's the usual ballots which have, they're crinkled, they've been written on, they're kind of normal wear and tear ballots. Then there was a set of ballots which literally 98% of them, and he said maybe he saw only just a handful, like 2 ballots maybe even, were for Trump. 98% were for Biden. Huge stack of ballots, and that they were printed on different paper. Okay, they were printed on different paper. They had no creasing whatsoever. The vast majority of them were voting only for Biden, as in not down ticket, and they looked like they had been machine filled. Not so great. Not so great to be doing that and get caught. Not so great to be doing that and get caught. And of course, these ballots have codes now. So we have the watermark. The watermark was incorrect. And, the scammers there said, oh, well, it's just a different printer. Well, yeah, it was a different printer. It was a Chinese printer. Doesn't count. Doesn't count, guys. There's a guy, Derek. I'm forgetting his handle. He's a lawyer. He's been going into these things. It's very dense stuff. But basically, the strategy here is to hammer them with need for discovery, right? So the point of all this stuff, this is big, groundbreaking stuff, but we are getting discovery. Once you pry open the election innards, then we see it all. Then we see all of the bad stuff. Okay? So a lot of this stuff, it's tactical. There's tons of disinformation. They're being attacked from different angles. His belief is that they're going to try to secure the win via standard legal means about, equal protection clause violations, blocking, poll monitors, and most crucially, and this is one of the things that's really important to understand that happened across states, but in particular, I always do that, particularly in particular in um, in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, is that the Secretary of State and the governor have been putting forward statutes and regulations that override the legislature. So one of the things that's documented over and over again in the Georgia lawsuit is that the Constitution expressly gives the power to assign election-related things to the legislature, right? To election-related rules and regulations. But the second thing about this is that Georgia state law does too. Georgia state law had all sorts of stipulations. So the federal Constitution and state laws all said that certain protocols had to be followed. And what happened is that the Secretary of State just said, no, we're just not doing that. Here's the new rules. But the Secretary of State isn't allowed to do that. The Secretary of State isn't allowed to say you can't do signature checks. And the reason, of course, he's doing this stuff is because he's a criminal. All right, guys? They're criminals. Ratzenberger, or whatever the fuck his name is, Shapiro, that dumb bitch in Michigan, whatever, she looks like a demon. I'm not talking about Whitmer. I'm talking about her Secretary of State. They're both look fucking terrifying individuals. Whitmer looks like she eats children, and she probably does. These people, they're all criminals. They're all so fucked. They're all so fucked beyond recognition. When will it sink in? Joe's the next. Look at this fucking cope. Look at this fucking cope right here. When is it going to sink in that Joe's the next POTUS? When he's in the Oval Office? Joe Biden's going to be in jail before he's in the Oval Office. But wait and see. Wait and see. Yeah. Go ahead. Cope here. People are so fucking stupid. So fucking stupid. Seriously. They do not. They're terrified. They come back on here again. When are you going to accept it? Just accept it. All right, guys? Just accept it. You're going to give up. Okay, you got to give up. No, it was a fair election, but you can't investigate it. It was a fair election, but you can't investigate. You just got to give up. Not happening. Not happening, guys. Got them on the run. We're going to whip them. Whip them, boys. Whip them. So, some other things in Georgia, okay? Because the Supreme Courts are going to throw this stuff out, and the lawsuit is comprehensive. And then there's all the Dominion stuff, too. Cybersecurity expert, PhD, worked for Defense Intelligence Agency, NSA, CIA, really, really, really pulled into all these things. He's basically saying that, first off, that it was obvious that there was about 2% of the vote was switched to Biden throughout these states, right? But more than that, he said that in the middle of the night, they used hammer and scorecard from Frankfurt, from an overseas location. They did that to basically escape election monitoring. Now, of course, that's when the military comes in, and that's going to be the next act, okay, after we deal with it through these first steps. Remember, this suit is just a civil suit, okay? Criminal comes next. Civil first, because election-related things, even with fraud, are civil. Now, there's also criminal aspects too, but these are separate cases because there's criminal. You're a criminal if you obviously tampered with elections, but there are civil consequences if you tamper with elections. Okay, and the criminal stuff doesn't change the election. The criminal stuff sends those people to jail. The civil stuff changes the election. All right, just to give you guys some clarification here. Now, I wanted to say some other stuff here. Another big thing in the Georgia lawsuit. Voting machines did not match serial numbers. So we know about chain of custody with ballots. We've heard about that stuff. We know about the signatures and the envelopes and all the connections there. But also there was chain of custody for the voting machines. And that chain of custody was broken. Okay, that chain of custody was broken. But bigger than that is that the serial numbers of the machines that came in were different than the serial numbers of the machines before. So it was almost as it wasn't like the chain of custody was broken because the machines were replaced. And let's think some more. Chain of custody maybe was, why did they change the machines? Because the machines had been internally changed, the software had been changed, the chips inside them had been changed to already be there to tamper with the elections. And that may have been why we found a voting machine just like thrown out in the side of the road, because they were trying to get rid of the original voting machines. Guys, as it turns to Scott Adams, Scott's been better than most of these, commentators during this election thing. I have to say he's been better than most. But yeah, Scott is a beta by nature. There's just not even a question about that. He's there's not even a question about it. I mean, you can feel it with guys. You can feel them, they have energy, and he's just very cerebral too. And if you're a guy and you're super cerebral and you can't get energy out, right? Your energy stays stuck up here. That definitely hampers you with women. Okay. Now he's got a beautiful young girl. Scott's also rich and famous. And maybe they have a connection. I don't know. But so, I mean, but he's been better than most. Right? I'm not interested in attacking Scott because Scott has not been running the demoralization ops. Scott's been just kind of just doing stupid mind game stuff, but he's not. Yeah, probably right. I don't know. I think persuasion tricks annoy me. They annoy me. Guys, I took NLP. I got a practitioner saying it. I like never use it. The only I found it. I mean, it was a crappy course. You could kind of BS your way through completion of the certification. I got into it because I thought it would be valuable, and then you're in it and you're like, this stuff it's so fake and cheesy. Like, just bring energy, just bring truth. Don't play like word games with people. Try to, I think that even though a lot of people who use it are good people, I find these sort of persuasion tricks to be like left-hand path stuff, because they're just very based on some sort of tactical application and formulating your words in a certain way. Whereas right-hand path is just bring that holy fire, What's real? What's fake? We're gonna go with what's real, and we're gonna throw it in your fucking face. So, what are some other things here? I saw something pretty funny. I don't know who. Send me some stuff on Darren Brown, Adam, because I'm not sure who that is. When's Trump declaring victory? Trump's declaring victory when the courts give him victory. The thing is, guys, he already has actually declared victory. Okay, so he's already declared. Otherwise, this is cope. This is just fucking. I'm so sick of like these fucking retarded people. Blocked for being a fucking moron. Guys, Trump's already declared victory. Okay, he's already said he won multiple times. He said he won a landslide. So this is like the usual stuff. Where's your source? Where's your source? How about like every other Trump tweet where he says, I won this election? Is that not declaring victory? He's going to be given victory officially through the courts and the Electoral College, right? But it's like dumb fucking questions, dumb fucking comments all the time. These people are, but honestly, they're brain dead. They're brain dead people. They're so misled. I had somebody attack me, someone I know very well, close person to me, attacked me yesterday for subverting democracy. I'm subverting democracy. Okay. If there's no fraud, let's just check it out. I mean, that's part of everything we're doing is democratic process. No. There is no fraud in the election. And if you check, you're subverting democracy. They're fucking nuts. Okay? They're fucking nuts. And they are not going to have a good time. I'm going to say some of this stuff because I talked about it on my podcast with Jay Campbell, and you guys got to see it. It was very, very good. We went on for almost an hour and a half. But they're going to have a really tough year. They're going to have a really tough year, and, good fucking luck. Good fucking luck dealing with it. The people who came here, like, there was the ones of us who have been aware of this stuff for a while. Some have been aware of it for decades. And then some of us started to get into it with the first election, which would be yours truly. And then we had the next wave of people which started to get aware of it in spring COVID. And they've had months to process, and they're in a good place. The ones who are waking up in the second wave, it's going to be harder. And the ones in the third wave, I mean, that's going to be just brutal. And the thing is, by the third wave, not a single person is going to care. No one will fucking care. I mean, I'm not gonna rub salt in for the people I know like this, but I am not sympathetic. I'm not sympathetic. Guys, we're moving on from them. We're moving on from them. So Trump's gonna have to be declared by the 14th. I mean, except under very, very, I don't think that that's likely. I've said this before, guys. We have some big astrological stuff, really big astrological stuff coming up Sunday, Monday. All right. What's going on Sunday, Monday? By 14th of December, yeah. Sunday, Monday is a full moon eclipse. All right? Full moon eclipse. The next 2 weeks are going to be some of the biggest weeks of our lives. I mean, if you think what happened so far these last 3 weeks, maybe last 5 weeks, depending on how you want to look at it. If you think things have been fun so far, if just wait. Just wait, because it's next week that in the week after, you're going to start to see the riots. You're going to start to see these attempted riots. Guys, I'm going to refer you to Paul Publisher. Paul's going to be tweeting some stuff out about it, no doubt. I don't want to give misinformation, but it's very, very powerful. A full moon eclipse. Very, very powerful. And that's going to be hitting right on the cusp. They gave us a little Thanksgiving present here so we can have some energy through the weekend. But it's next week that the fireworks happen. The next big one after this, there's another eclipse. I believe it's a new moon eclipse on the 14th. How convenient, right? 13th, 14th. That's the day that the Electoral College decides the winner. So yes, Trump will be president on the 14th. But that's just the beginning. That's just the beginning. Because the fraud was so immense. He just has to turn like a couple of these swing states to be given victory. But then you got to go into California, you got to go into New Mexico, Virginia, Rhode Island. It starts to cascade. You're going to start to see it across the entire country. Magenta was saying that Trump won in her visions. She saw Trump won 49 to 50 states. Okay. We had Dominion, the info from Dominion saying that he won about 410 electoral votes. There's a guy, Greg Rubini, who's a little enthusiastic, but he's basically saying what Magenta said. He's pretty much got every state with like a couple of like 2 or 3 uncertain ones going to Trump. I don't know. Nothing would surprise me at this point. But we're just talking about Trump getting the victory. That's easy. Trump getting the victory, easy. Now, do we have the ability to prove all of those states? I would not underestimate Trump. But we'll see. I mean, we know what the energy says. So, a couple other little things here. We had in Pennsylvania, right? Yeah, let's talk about the PA legislature thing. So we had the hearing yesterday, an incredible hearing. By the way, Twitter suspending the Speaker of the Senate, who was, I don't even know if he was the Speaker of the Senate, but a Pennsylvania state senator, Palumbo, I think, Brad Palumbo, or I don't know what his name was, but he's a war veteran, whatever. But he was just running the hearing. They suspended him, no reason. Usual shit. But guys, there is, it's big. They are, when they were talking about the ballots, they said, okay, so Rudy says, okay, so 600,000 ballots came in after deadline, right? And they said, okay, well, actually, no, it was 570,000 ballots. Okay, well, how many of those 570 something ballots, 570,000 something ballots that came in for Biden versus Trump? How many came in for Trump? They said. And they're like, oh, 3,200. And everybody burst out laughing. I mean, if you guys haven't seen that clip, you got to see that clip. It was, I mean, that's when you could feel it was over. Because when the fraud is so egregious that people can only laugh at it, then they're fucked. You know they're fucked. And you notice with the media has not even really been able to reframe anything. I mean, you have the Secretary of State, Shapiro. You know, he's the Thanksgiving turkey. Shapiro saying like, no, the state's certified. Okay, well, the judge blocked the certification and the legislature has the control over it. You dumb fuck. So you can say all you want and your brain dead followers or bots, whatever, can like it, but it doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it true. So it's going to be a real slaughter for them. I've seen in Pennsylvania that they received 700,000 more absentee ballots than were sent out. Guys, it's going to be funny. It's going to be funny. But all these people, all these fucking sheep who have been saying there's no fraud, where's your source? It's just leave them, get them out of your field. I have no time whatsoever for people who are dishonest. I don't care. The family members, I don't care. Family members, friends, I do not care. If you are a fundamentally dishonest individual, I am not going to allow you to be around me. I am not going to allow you to interact with me. I do not fucking care about you or your thoughts. You need to get yourself sorted out. And guys, you need to do the same thing. Do not bother engaging these people except for occasional things, like online to humiliate them. Don't do that with your family and friends, but like online and stuff, you can do that occasionally because other people see it. And there are people who maybe think that there was fraud, but they're not sure, and they see that, and then they'll come to your side. They're quiet, and I respect quiet people. I respect, if you don't believe any of this stuff, but you're quiet and you listen, and you withhold judgment. It's cool. The issue is that when you're so much in dissonance that you are throwing this stuff out there. I had this person call me the other day. They're like, "You're destroying the earth. Go fuck yourself. Seriously, go fuck yourself." Like I have no time. It's like you're destroying Christianity. You're destroying democracy and Christianity. I don't have time to deal with your insanity if you actually believe that. If you are so insane that you think a group that does satanic rituals in front of you and is trying to stop the churches from opening and meeting and has stolen an election, if you think that they are the ones who are protecting Christianity and democracy, good fucking luck. Good fucking luck in the coming months. And there are tons and tons of people out there like this. You got to leave them. You got to leave them to their pain. You got to leave them to their suffering. They are anxious. They are losing it. They're losing it. So, look, don't be around them, guys. Have fun with Thanksgiving today. I will say this, though. If you are around people in your family and, they don't support Trump, but you have Thanksgiving with them, do not be the person to bring up Trump because, guys, don't trigger their egos. Make it as easy as possible for them to transition out of this. Don't be low consciousness. Don't be picking fights. Don't be picking fights. If someone says something, shut down the conversation. Say, well, we don't want to talk about this. If someone keeps pushing it, then, you can defend yourself, obviously. But what I will say to people, I say, well, look, wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens. I don't care if you have your view. That's fine. Wait and see what happens. No. You have to agree with me right now. You have to stop. no fucking hope for them. But don't start it. Do not start with the bullshit. Is that true that they're cutting out power in California? Is that true? If that's true, that's I know that they're going to be trying to do that, but I don't think it's going to happen on a mass scale. It's going to happen probably more tactically. 2020, guys, is the year of deconstruction. Okay? 2021 is the year of revelation. So, next year, things that we already know, but right now they're losing their worldview. Next year, we're showing them what was actually happening, and that's going to go on throughout the year. The trials will be going on throughout the year. Okay, 2022 is probably when we start to get to the point where there's much more of a full focus on building what's next. I mean, we're going to start building next year, but the point here is that next year, like, I think that we are going to have the deconstruction finished by the spring, but don't confuse deconstruction with revelation, because there's so much stuff. Our history is going to be rewritten, right? Our history is going to be rewritten. Next year is going to be crazy. I mean, we're living through the transitioning of an age. We're heading towards the age of Aquarius. We're heading towards the golden age. So, guys, give thanks, okay? Be with people who you love today. Even those of you in Europe, you celebrate your own Thanksgiving. This is it's a very important holiday. Lincoln made this holiday during the Civil War. It's a very rough war. I consider this more of a revolution than a civil war, but revolutions are always somewhat civil wars, right? There's differences in the sense that there's more formal dividing lines in a civil war, but this is the third one in a certain sense we've gone through. If you count the Civil War, we had Revolution, Civil War. Now we have the Second American Revolution, the Great Awakening. So give thanks, be with those you love, fuck the regulations, spend time with family, do not socially distance today, have fun with the people you love, and I will see you guys next week for the fire. All right? Take care.